This is the new CVLife BearMight, a 6-24 power first focal plane optic that may be a budget scope, but it has some premium features like Japanese ED glass. Now, the name BearMight probably looks impressive as Chinese characters or even when you spell it out, but when you sound it out, BearMight kinda sounds like the name of a kind of tick. But despite its name, the question is, does this scope perform big? Let's find out. Let's skip the boring unboxing videos and just take a look at what you get inside the box. This is the CVLife BearMight. It is a 6-24 power first focal plane scope with a 50mm objective lens, and overall looks and build quality are pretty darn good. Now, this comes with a 2032 coin battery that powers the first focal plane illumination on the first focal plane reticle, and the illumination rheostat shares the same turret as the parallax focus, though I do appreciate the fact that there are different diameters so that you're not likely to turn one when you're meaning to turn the other. And the illumination indexes with a intensity of 1 all the way up to 6 with an off in between, so that's nice. And our parallax focus turns very smoothly, goes all the way down to 20 yards, which is also a nice feature. Now overall, the tread pattern, the contact pattern on the turrets and the turret design overall give me a little bit of Vortex vibes, even though they don't really look like them. They're a lot taller and not as squat as a Vortex turret. But it does use a Vortex style zero stop ring. So you just unscrew the top of your elevation turret, drop this down onto a pin to activate the zero stop. We won't be using that for the testing today because we want to see how its range of total overall adjustments here. It does come with a little metal tool, or you can just use a coin to unscrew the top of that to pop off the turret to reset the zero here. And let's take a listen on our elevation turret. Nice, audible. Tactile positive, no slop in between each of the clicks, and the clicks are 1/4 MOA, by the way. So, and they are non-locking, and it doesn't appear to have any sort of turn indication in terms of how many revolutions you've put onto this. It does show you, though, that there is a total of 25 MOA of adjustments on turret revolution, and our windage just as loud at tactile positive, also no slop in between the clicks, 1/4 MOA, and these are, again, user resettable, non-locking turrets. And our magnification ring turns very smoothly. It does come with a screw-on throw lever, by the way, and this is a pretty large diameter throw lever, so that is less likely to snap off should you accidentally drop it. And our diopter turns smoothly as well. Nice. Well, I'm actually rather impressed with the overall build quality and design of CVLife's scopes now. This is a nitrogen purged, so it's less likely to fog up in adverse conditions. So yeah, CVLife really is stepping up the quality of their scopes. But of course, the important thing is, how does it look through the glass? We're going to test that out, bring that out to the range, and see how this looks. Before we get started with the test, I'd just like to take a quick break here to talk about this episode's sponsor, Aura. For the cost of just a VPN, I'm getting a whole suite of security services, including $1 million in identity theft insurance, and they're even removing me from those damn data broker listings. Use my link, aura.com/moondog, and you can try them for 14 days, free. And if you use that link, you're helping to support this channel. You know, identity fraud is a real thing, and with AI, it's all too easy to spoof your identity. That's why you should try out Aura. All right, let's get back to the tests. We're looking for the CVLife BearMight at the peak of Mount Davidson, approximately 14 to 1,500 yards away. And it is an overcast day. It's a little bit of a muggy humid day here, but this is a good simulation for, typical fall weather. So this is what you expect in hunting season. So perhaps this is a good example of what you can expect looking through the scope in an overcast day. So a little bit lower amount of contrast, but overall view through the scope is pretty good. Now there is a little bit of a tight eye box, or at least sight picture through the scope at low power, and this is at 6 power, and you're seeing quite a bit of vignetting, black around the outer edges. It doesn't, your field of view isn't all the way to the edge of the tube here. Now as we bring up our magnification, let's bring it up to halfway and its magnification range to 12 power, but you can see here that your field of view has enlarged and you're seeing a harder edge to your field of view through this scope. And here at 12 power, we're seeing a good color rendition of the top of the hill. There it is, like I mentioned, a overcast day, so you're seeing kind of a flat picture, and there is a lot of moisture and haze in the air. But I'm not seeing any noticeable chromatic aberration around high contrast areas like where the trees are silhouetted against the gray sky. Now let's bring this all the way up to its maximum magnification of 24 and take a look at how the scope reacts to that. And you can see the first focal plane reticle has enlarged, and we can see a bit of detail. There is the trail marker sign, which is near the center, to a little bit above and to the right of the center crosshairs. That is about a 3-foot-ish sign on top of a pole, which is a good proxy for an IPSC target at this distance. So let's take a look at that illumination. That is at 6 power. So yeah, twilight bright, not daylight bright, and just the center part of the cruciform of the reticle is visible. We are looking at our reference target board downrange at 100 yards through the scope at its lowest power of 6. And this is an opportunity to check our range of adjustments on these turrets, and we're just going to start with our elevation. That's the very topmost. Now let's take a look at where we are at the bottom, and that is the very bottommost. You can see a little bit of the eye box peeking in there, that vignetting coming in at the top of the scope image. And let's bring this back to 0 on our elevation turret. Now let's check our windage, and that is the right extent. And that is the leftmost extent on our windage turret. Now let's get this back to factory 0. Now let's bring up our magnification about halfway to 12 power and take a look through the scope now, and still quite bright and clear with a good detail in the backstop. Even though it is shaded and dark, we are seeing a lot of detail clearly. Well, since we are roughly aligned to the lower left highlight on that grid target, let's just do a tracking test and do a box test with the turret here. I'm going to do a full rotation on our elevation and a full rotation on our windage. Now back, full rotation on our elevation, back to 0, and back to 0, original factory 0 on our windage, and we're pretty much back where we started. Let's do a little bit more of an abusive test here. This is the nipple twister test coined by my buddy Cyclops Joe. And what we're going to do is we're just going to turn the heck out of this turret for a good 20-30 seconds and see if it will go back to its original starting point when we dial the turrets back to 0. All right, let's turn this elevation turret back to 0. And now our windage. Hey, we're right back where we started. That's pretty good. Let's bring up our magnification all the way up to its maximum of 24 and take a look at our target. And it's still quite clear. Now let's tilt this down just a little bit so we can clear the bottom 2 reference targets from behind the crosshairs here. And I can make out bullet hits on the reactive sticker target on the bottom left on our paper target board, but also 2 additional tiny 22 caliber holes on the paper below that reactive sticker target. And in the resolution chart on the bottom right, I can make out both horizontal and vertical lines all the way down to element 2 or 3 in group -1. Alright, let's talk about the scope, but before I do, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell buttons before this video ends. It just takes a second. And I'd like to thank CVLife for sending out the BearMight for me to test. And let's talk about that name for a second here. BearMight doesn't quite roll off the tongue in English. Maybe it makes more sense in Chinese, but they have other Bear products in their product line, like Bear Swift scopes. I can't really tell. Is Swift supposed to be lower tier versus Might, or is it the other way around? If you can make heads or tails of their naming system, please let me know in the comments. And if you think of a better name than BearMight, you probably can. Also, let me know in the comments section. But name aside, in terms of its performance, this is a really good value. And bear in mind, pardon the pun, this is about a $250 scope. So for that entry-level price, you're getting a really feature-rich scope here. The turrets are excellent. The Japanese ED glass is sharp, clear, good light transference. The only shortcoming I have to say is that this has a very tight eye box. Surprisingly, even at its lowest power of 6, it has a very small exit pupil. You're getting a lot of black vignetting around the image at 6 power. It probably looks better at 8 power. So this might have been a better 8 to 24 power scope. But that aside, it's a really good value. And if you're interested in this scope, you can find more information as well as where to find it on my website at moondogindustries.com. You'll find a link in the video description. Well, thanks again for watching. God bless. Moondog out. Hey, I'd like to know what you thought of this video. Leave me a comment or chat with me on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, MeWe, Instagram, or Locals. And if you want to see all of my videos, go to moondogindustries.com.